Hello and welcome to the P3 show. My name is Remy von Herman, the host of the show as always. And today I do have a special guest. And as always, this show is a very informal show where we get to talk leaders in the community, residents, lawmakers, decision makers, folks who make our city a better place, but also members of the community who their lives are impacted by everything that happens here. And today I'm lucky to have here Scott Lowe of Ward 5. And Scott is planning on running for mayor in the 2027 Town Meeting Day. And I've known Scott for a while, and he's an amazing human being. And, this would definitely be a good time to just kind of get to know him, who he is, and also he's a very impactful person, and I'm sure he'll share with us his story, here to learn more about you and what's like living in Ward 5 and how that impacts you as a person and your partner as well. I don't know if she lives as well in Ward 5 with you right now. And but I know you have a lot of fun stories to tell us. And then towards the end of it, we'll probably briefly dive into sort of like what are the underlying statement of why you want to take it to the next level of wanting to serve the public, and because I know there's probably a good story behind it of what is driving you, and sort of like a little bit of small deep dive into what your plans are for our city should you get elected. I know it's a little bit ahead of time. We're still 2025 mid-year, and or at least it's wrapping up almost now. But it's never too early to have a conversation about the future of our city. And I couldn't have a better person to have that conversation with you on my show. So, yes, sir. And Scott Lowe, take it away, sir. And would love to learn more about you and tell us everything who you are and what you have for us in this future in this beautiful city of ours.
Well, first of all, Romeo, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. It does give me an opportunity to get my face and my name out there to my fellow Burlingtonians. I'm out there on the streets with them every day, and I see the struggles that they go through. And a little bit about myself, I was born here in Burlington. I grew up here in Burlington. I went to the local schools, H.O. Wheeler, which is now the Integrated Arts Center, Lawrence Barnes, and so forth. And I've lived in Chittenden County almost all my life. I did move away for a short period of time and felt that, Burlington is my home. I have family here. And I still have some family that live here in the Burlington area and in the city of Burlington. And over the years, I've gained a lot of knowledge and experience working with the people, not only those in business and on a personal level, but also assisting them. For the past 3 years, I've been going along with a friend of mine. His name's David, and we do a lot of community advocacy work, assisting especially those that are unhoused in finding and obtaining resources to assist them to get out of the situations that they're in. I gained my education and became a certificated paralegal. I've received legal training from the Vermont Department of Corrections. I've received additional courses that I've taken to assist with in the behavioral sciences area from CCB. As a matter of fact, I continue to do that.
Wow.
I work for a company here in Burlington, right there on Pine Street.
Yes. And that's how we got to know each other when I used to work at the bus station.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm a person of the people.
Right.
I'm a person of the people. I'm in the trenches. I see the people every day. I see what they're going through. I listen to their struggles. I try to help them the best way I can. And just try and, show them that it can change for the better. And I get confronted with conversations of all types from people from all walks of life, people who are from here, people who have recently relocated here. And one of the biggest issues that they seem to have, and as community advocates, that biggest problem that we have in helping them is that the resources are dwindling. They're becoming less and less. And there's more and more problems that are arising without effective solutions. There's been resolutions passed on many things, and unfortunately, those resolutions look good on paper. However, they're not very good if they're not actually fully implemented to the extent that they need to be.
Right, right. One of the difficult things in general running for public office is the amount of drama that goes on behind the scenes, where a lot of issues need to be dealt with, but you have that behind the scene politicking going on, where issues are not necessarily being taken care of. And you're a resident of the city and you pretty much are well versed with all that is happening. And I think you and I, where I used to work at the bus station for Green Mountain Transit at the time, we've talked back and forth about what's happening in the city and some of the stuff we've seen, you and I, at the bus station, and all the plight that is going on in the city. That's not to say the city is a doom and gloom situation, but at the same time, from what I understand, I do not know to what extent the success rate just yet is in terms of, the overdose issue, public safety related issues in the city. I know Governor Scott is currently trying to work on some kind of plan for the city to help us out or whatever. You're coming in, especially, seeking public office when things are really at a very, very, almost like a standstill between the city and the state, because the city is looked at as, or at least in Chinton County anyway, it's looked at like an, sufficient place where they, have a lot of money and, so like, why should the state come in to help them out kind of thing, Mm-hmm. And then the city is like, hey, we need your help. We got all this stuff going on here. And I'm wondering how, in your own way, you would approach that, because I know a lot will be on your shoulder, come April 2027, should you be sworn in. It's really, because I'm now a city employee myself, and honestly, I didn't know the amount of difficulties the city faces, and so once you get to the position, it's one thing to run for something, and it's another once you're literally there, and the amount of criticism that will come your way, the amount of, too many people asking you, almost one of them for you to do the exact same thing. So I was wondering, how would you approach that? Because I know, I think you're more like a centrist person. I could be wrong, in terms of policy-wise. You look from both sides of the aisle and see how it can be resolved.
Yes.
And at this early stage, I was wondering what your thought processes are on those.
Well, as an independent, yes, I do look at both sides of the aisle. Both sides of the aisle do have some good ideas. They also have some not so good ideas. And that's one of the reasons why I would be running as an independent, mm-hmm. Is because I like to embody the best of both sides.
Right.
And I make no promises except for one, and that is that I promise to do my best to work with the people to accomplish what is best for Burlington. I won't say, well, I will solve this issue, or I will take care of this problem, because there are a lot of other players in this game of life. And in politics, you have other players that also have a say-so and can change everything. It's not like a dictatorship or anything like that.
Yeah.
It is a democracy where, from a business standpoint, the people are the company. They are the CEOs. They are the ones who are the boss. They are the one who pays the paychecks, the salaries of the city officials. And so as an employee of that company, should I be elected, I have to listen to what the boss wants. And I have to, and remember that I am working for them, not the other way around. And on a personal level, okay, Burlingtonians are my friends. And as a friend, I am supposed to be empathetic enough to, and willing to do what I can to help them make their lives better. So, and in doing that, you're really humbling yourself, and keeping yourself in check to, to know, okay, I'm not gonna do this if this isn't what they want.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And, the thing that I'm looking at is, what is the story that led you to this point where you said, you know what, here I am today in 2025. I've been through a long life in this beautiful state of ours. And in 2025, what led you up to the point where you were like, I want to serve? Is this your first time wanting to serve the city at a capacity of an elected official, or have you been in a position where like you were either elected or appointed, and have you been in a situation where like you had to make certain decisions where you were like, you know what, I could do this, I know the city has a lot of problem, or are you in a position where you're like, this is way too much, I got to do something about it, I cannot just keep watching? Because sometimes, when you live in a place where you're like, I can either be the change or let somebody else do the change. Because to change, for it to happen, you have to be the change itself. So what is the story that led you to this decision that you made?
Well, even during the time that I was living in the Upper Valley area of Vermont, I still kept close ties with Burlington. I would come to Burlington very often. And I saw over the years how things were changing. There were some people and some organizations that were being less empathetic to the problems that were facing the residents. And I saw the addiction epidemic just explode over the years, and there were and there wasn't much that was effectively being done to help those that wanted recovery. And I mean, granted, there were organizations that didn't have the staffing or the funding to be able to accommodate the large explosion of this epidemic. but there were also less people that were being educated in those fields and remaining here in the Burlington area and statewide, as a matter of fact, to deal with those issues. And I was always a firm believer in, a friend of mine once told me, be the change you want to see. And there was a definite need in Burlington, and I wanted to see that change, so I decided that I was going to attempt to be that change. I saw that things weren't, things that could have been done from the mayoral office and from city council, as well as other agencies and departments in the city of Burlington, things that could have been done that weren't done. And it has caused us to be in a position where things are worse now than they were, 5 years ago. And I have been in a position before, in the late 1990s. I was a parent representative in the Tri-County Community Action Head Start in New Hampshire, where I effectively was able to assist in the repairs of a Head Start facility in Enfield, New Hampshire, and assisted in getting the construction and implementation of a second Head Start facility in West Lebanon, New Hampshire. It was a position that I held for 2 years. I represented Grafton County, New Hampshire, for those 2 years. During those 2 years, I also represented the Tri-County, which are the 3 northern tiers of New Hampshire. And I represented New Hampshire on a national level, going to the National Convention in Washington, D.C. in 1997.
And as an independent or as a?
I was an independent. I was a parent representative representing the parents and staff of Head Start and its students.
Okay, very cool.
So I do have some experience there, dealing with political issues. There weren't as many as there are here in Burlington. However, I keep well informed because I keep my ear to the city government, also to its residents, its visitors. And because I keep my eyes and ears open and I know how to listen, I know how to effectively assist those that need the help dealing with the issues that they're facing.
Thank you. Now, as a future mayor, you definitely be, let's say, when you go into the coming election, it's going to be a pretty interesting election. It's going to be very contentious elections. Who knows? There have been a lot of elections just in general that can be sometimes very divisive. And the issues that we're facing are pretty immense, from public safety to, rebuilding the streets, to the transit system here, public transit, with all the service reductions that are happening, that are affecting, folks here, the student body that we have here who are, to a certain degree, not necessarily engaged in I'll be honest with you. They do contribute a lot of stuff, which we're very grateful for, but in terms of visual representation, I don't really see much. Just kind of rebuilding trust between law enforcement community and the public at large. There are a lot of issues that we really face, but to get back to the point of getting into running for a mayor, it's going to be really, I don't know if you remember the last election, it was a very difficult one. And, I feel like as time goes on it's all gonna get more difficult, sometimes more divisive unnecessarily. You can see what's happening around the country, people being targeted for purely speaking their mind freely, or even having to seek for public office. And the moment they open their mouth, all of a sudden, people are on their tail and trying to chastise people. I'm wondering, right now you're enjoying the peace of not anybody bothering you, but the moment you put your hat in the name and you've already probably gathered enough signatures from what I can tell. And once your name is on the ballot, you'll have to deal with a lot of people who will either like what you have to say or wouldn't like what you have to say. And I'm wondering, based on how things are going for you right now, and you can go out there peacefully, nobody's going to bother you. But the moment come 2027, I'm wondering, through that transition process, how are you planning for yourself, for your family, for your friends, people around your circle? I'm not trying to scare you or anything, but the reality of running for even city council, to be honest with you, at some point. It shouldn't be challenging. It shouldn't be very scary thing to do. But sad thing is that we're in a very polarizing times, unfortunately. Realistically, very tribal, to say the least, irrespective of whatever political persuasion you come from. I'm wondering, how are you planning in order to go through that process, hopefully prepare you to, let's just say, if you're elected in town meeting day, March 2027, and get sworn in, I believe April 1st week is generally when they swear in the new mayor usually, or swear the incumbent if they get elected again. So I'm wondering, in that transition process, how are you mentally planning to deal with all those issues? Right now you're the only person who has declared, or at least who has shown intent to run, and I'm just kind of trying to learn, and hopefully our viewers can learn what your plans are in that context.
Well, first and foremost, I stay in a state of mind where this is a process of application. I am applying for the position of Burlington City Mayor. And the employer is the people of Burlington, the residents of Burlington. With all of the divisiveness that is going on in this country, in this state, in this county, city, one thing remains true, and that is, and it's in the U.S. Constitution, it's in our state's Constitution, and it's in our the Burlington City Charter. We all have the right to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and that right should not be abridged on anyone, regardless of one person's views over another person's ideas or ideology. It makes no difference. When there is an attempt to control an ideology or a view by the use of force, by the use of bullying, by trying to shut them out verbally, it is an attempt to abridge someone's right to freedom of expression. And I am firmly against that. I am actually inviting anyone who has opposing views to speak with me and have a dialogue so that we can learn to understand each other and understand each other's views. That person may have something that I haven't thought of. I may have something that that person hasn't thought of. That can change the whole view or point of view on a particular subject. So I invite these things. I invite the dialogue. I am prepared to face opposing views, opposing thoughts, opposing ideologies, because I know what I feel and what I believe to be true and right. However, there may be evidence that I may be mistaken, and I'm willing to accept that. Now, I know that there have been some politicians throughout history who refuse to accept the thoughts or ideals of an opposing view. And those are the ones that I feel sorry for, because when you close yourself off and close your mind to opposing views, then you are closing yourself off to furthering your knowledge. Mm-hmm. So I invite those opposing views and opinions and so forth with open arms. I'd love to hear them. I'm sure that there's plenty of them out there.
Oh yes, believe me, there's quite a number out there. What I'm wondering is what inspired you? Like, is there somebody who inspired you throughout your life, from childhood to today, and I'm sure for the foreseeable future, that inspires you? Not just a public figure, but just somebody in your family, somebody whom throughout your life whom you're like, you know what, I wanna, not just for them only, but like I like who they are, I like what they stand for, and it's somebody I look up to, you know, and you know, when either get elected or when I'm doing my public duties or whatever, this is who I really look up to. Do you have any?
Well, the first person that I look up to, that I speak with every morning, is God. I pray every morning. I'm not a fanatical Christian, as some have attempted to label me.
Ready?
Oh yes. But I believe in God, and I believe in His Son, and because I believe in those things, I also have to believe there's heads and tails to every coin. Mm-hmm. But I also find strength in other philosophies, such as the story of when Zen met Buddha, and how Buddha explained to him, you know, I'm not an angel, I'm not a god, I'm not a prophet, I am awake. You know, being awake to everything around and within him. You know, second to God is my mom. My mom raised me in Burlington during most of my life. She was raising me and my younger brother as a single mother. In the Old North End, and I saw how she lived her life, and I saw the types of people that she had around her, family, friends, and because she exemplified, I mean, she made mistakes in her life, but because she exemplified the things that were right in this world, and she practiced what she preached. If she said that this was wrong, she wouldn't turn around and do it herself, and and say, well, it's only wrong for children. And she was firm, she was fair, and she taught both my brother and I how to treat other people, how to keep our head on a swivel, so to speak, and watch out for around you. If you can help someone else, if you have the capabilities of helping someone else, then do so. But it was also okay to say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm having a hard time myself.
Right.
So she's human, but she's an empathetic human, and she's a strong human. She's a very strong woman, and I love talking with her. I have wonderful conversations with her, and she is a complete polar opposite politically than I am.
Okay.
But we have conversations, and we have dialogue, and she is a firm believer in people sharing points of view and talking. And so she is a big source of my strength.
That is wonderful. That is really, really wonderful. And I know right now it's a little early to say, and I know as time goes on, you'll probably be on different shows, and you know, of course, you know, where we're here is a CCTV, Town Meeting TV. Definitely, folks that are out there, feel free to subscribe on YouTube for sure, Town Meeting TV. But you are on Town Meeting TV, and certainly there's the mayoral forum that happens, which I think even 7 days co-hosts or sponsors and all that kind of stuff, or other organization sponsors as well. So you're gonna probably be going through the gauntlet, you know, as time goes on. So this is more or less at the beginning of your story of seeking the people's vote, as it were. You know, being at an early stage of this process, I'm guessing it's not going to be a lot of hard questions that are coming in, but as time goes on, the question will get much more harder, much more tougher, much more poignant, and you know, it's for a city that is, Burlington isn't too small, but it's also not a big city at all. And with all the problems that we have, it's almost like a microcosm of what other bigger cities go through, but on a smaller scale. But still, relative to the number of people that are here, it feels very big, you know? So, and even like at your ward where you live in Ward 5?
Yes.
Right? And, you know, Ward 5 has a very vibrant NPA. I mean, I live in Ward 6, and I love my ward as well. And I'm guessing you're going to share this passionate story about you, about your family, about what you're going to be doing in the near future for our city in terms of tackling some of the issues that you mentioned here, dropout epidemic. I believe bringing some businesses back into the city because, you know, unfortunately, some of them are leaving, not in part just because of crime, but I'm sure some of it has to do with economics or whatever, but also crime as well. Your plans for the city. So as time goes on, you will have a lot of different platforms to chat with people, go to different NPAs, go to different, even on a radio show, you know, who knows, WVMT, to tell the guys the morning drive your story as well. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who will most certainly be interested in hearing from you and what you have to say. And, you know, one of the things that I've always thought about is, you know, it's very challenging to go through the process, provided that you're willing to stick to it, you know, willing to stay through the storm, you know, and there are a lot of good people here in this city who certainly wish you well, you know, want you to succeed, want you to, and it's not so much of them just either voting for you or voting against your, not against you per se, but against the policy probably. But at the end of the day is that I'm certain a lot of people, you know, not only you, but, you know, our current mayor, our, you know, anybody else who may be seeking in the future to run for that office as well. You know, we want everybody to be able to do it peacefully and be able to not feel like that they're a target for just simply wanting to serve the public, you know, regardless of what it is. And for the reasons that you've mentioned as to why you're running, what is one thing that speaks to you the most of all the issues that you think it's definitely worth mentioning more? And I know each issue matters, you know, businesses and public safety, building trust with the community, and so on and so forth. Of all the issues that you're basically kind of swimming through, as it were, as you the next year and a half, things will certainly pick up very fast. What is one issue that you would put above all else as you sort of like a guiding point to go through the, as it were, to the seat of the chief executive of this city?
Can I only pick one?
You can pick as many, but I'm certain there's one that people...
There are top three.
Yeah, I know public safety is one people talk about, but I'm sure...
Public safety is one of them, and these are in no particular order.
Okay.
The top three that have got to be addressed because they are the most prevalent in the city is public safety, the unhoused situation in Burlington, and the drug epidemic. Those are the top three that have got to be addressed right away. We have a shortage of police officers, patrol officers. There's not a lot of excitement for new officers coming in. We have an increasing unhoused population because of many cutbacks, because of lack of, I'm not going to say lack of housing, I'm going to say lack of obtainable, affordable housing. There is a difference. There's lots of houses out there, but they're outside of most people's reaches right now. Not just with buying, but with renting as well. Rents are way too high, and it's forcing people to end up being in situations that they don't want to be in. The drug epidemic. I'm sorry, I do not believe that a safe injection site is the way to go, because essentially it's giving a place for people to do something that is illegal to begin with. We need to focus more on rehabilitation. We need a multifaceted facility that focuses not only on getting the recovery from addiction, but also addressing the issues that led to the addiction to begin with, which includes mental health issues. Last time I checked, these drugs that some people are shooting up are illegal, and the police force that, such as it is that we have, needs to start enforcing that and making an effort to get these people or attempting to get these people into a program if they so desire to get moved, removed from these drugs. I don't believe allowing a place for them, a safe spot to do their drugs is going to have any real effect. We're still going to see needles. As a matter of fact, it'll do things even worse. It will lead to people coming from other communities into Burlington believing that they have a safe place to use their drugs. And then following them will be the drug sellers, the drug dealers. And and it will become more of a drain on the resources that Burlington has to offer.
Wow. So based on what I'm hearing, that your biggest, I know there's a lot to choose from. But,
oh, yes. Yes.
But the one, based on what I'm looking at, based on how you put it or phrased it right now, is that the drug situation is where you really want to make an immediate impact, as it were.
Yes.
And of course, there's a lot of things that are happening in that sphere, and it's very interesting that is something you really want to target. Which, in part, of course, when you see what's happening on the streets, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are being preyed on. Really, really good human beings are being preyed on over there, and I'm not, of course. taking the responsibility away from a grown-up person, because we all own our own responsibilities when it comes to our actions, regardless of who preys on us. But at the end of the day, you can kind of tell these are really good human beings who really need genuinely some help.
Yes.
You know, and I'm glad that you are at least putting a fine point on it, that one of the things that you want to make an impact, based on what I'm hearing, is the drug situation that we're facing, which also, you know, when somebody gets into drug abuse, you know, then they end up not, you know, paying their rent, or they end up being kicked out, or even if they're staying with family, they end up being kicked out, because of course not everybody is willing to put up with somebody who may be going through that drug situation, and then they end up being on the street. I've seen some times where people are in a good situation, they have a good home, and all of a sudden they end up abusing drugs, and then all of a sudden within 3 months or 6 months, this person is a completely different person when they arrived in the city, you know, and they go from having a place, or at least finding a place through the state, and then they cannot keep the space because they're just so drawn into this powerful synthetic opioids, and then they're back on the street all over again, you know. And I think it goes hand in hand. On one hand, there are people preying on these guys to know that they're prime targets, you know, because Vermont is considered a very prime target for a lot of drug dealers out there, in part because there are a lot of retirees out here. There are a lot of very young, impressionable folks that live here. And so for them, this is like a prime spot to sell, you know, from Massachusetts, and, you know, probably some of it from New Hampshire, some of them, New York or whatever, or even as far as Philadelphia, to be honest with you, coming these opioids directly up here. And so I'm glad that you're focused on that, and I think that's incredibly important, because that kind of also plays hand in hand with public safety.
Yes.
Because, you know, when somebody is not in the best state of their minds, they're much more likely to commit a crime, unfortunately. And that's not to say that everybody who is in a very difficult mental state will be out there to commit a crime, but they're much likely to commit a crime, in part because they may not be having that self-control or urge not to commit a crime. Who knows, you know? And quite a number of folks that I've seen through my time working in the downtown core area is that I noticed that a lot of time when folks are influenced by some form of opioid, synthetic opioids, they're much more likely to fight with you. They're much more aggressive. They're much more irritable and whatnot. And so, you know, because this thing plays with your mind and tricks your mind, and it's like almost, even if the person is a good human being, they're, you know, they're like a tug of war between, they want to do the right thing, you know, but they're taking this opioid, you know, it's not a good thing, and then there's the repercussion where the public faces have to deal with that issue, and then there's that tug of war back and forth. So I'm glad that you're focusing on that. As I said earlier, you know, there's a lot to go through. You know, of course, you know, we only have additional maybe 10 minutes to go, but or less than that maybe. But if there's, like I said, it's, you know, early in the stage, never too late. You know, what would be your message to, I believe that camera faces you directly. What would be your message to fellow Burlingtonians? You know, and again, this is not so much of a pitch, but rather letting them know rather, or letting our residents know that, hey, you know, this is Scott, you know, what would you like to share with us that we can take away from this beginning of the stage of your journey to hopefully maybe, you know, becoming our next mayor, or maybe even if that does not happen, but at least willing to serve at a certain capacity in the city, maybe as a city councilor, or even in the future administration, who knows, you know. What is something that you would like to share with us?
Well, I would like to share that our Burlingtonians, to my belief, you are part of my family. I am part of yours. I am one of you, and that the city needs help. And I am here, and I am willing to do what I can to help the city of Burlington So I urge you to register to vote. I ask that you support me in my campaign to try to make things better for Burlington with the assistance of the elected officials and City Council. And even if I am not elected to the City of Mayor, I want you to know that no matter what, I will continue to do whatever I can to assist those that are around me, that come to me, in whatever issue they have. If I can help, I will do so. And again, I am one of you in this city, and I love the city. It is a beautiful place, fantastic scenery. We have wonderful people here, crafts, stores, businesses, and we need to ensure that it is safe and vibrant for the visitors and residents for future generations. And I will do whatever I can to ensure that that happens.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And I know there's a lot to cover, which we probably don't have the time to do that at this time. However, who knows, in the future sessions, and I know there's a lot of platforms out there from radio to print and all kind of avenues where you'll be able to share that information. And I'm grateful that you're here to, as a fellow resident, to share with us your story, but at the same time, share with us your plan. And I believe your partner's right there cheering you on, sitting right across,
Yes,
off camera. So we're grateful for her as well, for her support for you, and making sure that you're well grounded in running civic direction. And on that note, I am grateful that you've joined us, and certainly you can learn more about Scott Lowe on his Facebook. I believe you have a Facebook page, right? Or
I have a nextdoor.com page.
Nextdoor.com. Never heard of that.
Nextdoor.com is actually a local website
Really?
that connects communities around Burlington and larger areas.
Is that a Vermont?
Yes, it is.
Really, Nextdoor? It's almost like a front porch forum thing?
Yeah.
No? Or is it a little bit different?
It's for a little bit of everything, sharing news from communities. It also sharing tips as well as for things like gardening, or if somebody has something for sale, or if somebody has a service that they can provide their neighbors.
Very nice.
They can post that on there. And I have a group on there called Scott Lowe for Burlington Mayor 2027.
Okay.
And anybody can go ahead and request to be added to the group, and they're more than welcome to, regardless of their views or ideas. I'm happy to listen to them all.
Well, we appreciate you, and I'm glad that you are civic-minded and are interested in serving our city at any capacity, today and tomorrow in the foreseeable future. I know the journey is just beginning.
Yes.
So, and I'm genuinely grateful for you joining us on this wonderful show as always, and I'm always grateful to Town Meeting TV. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Town Meeting TV. Of course, Town Meeting TV has its own website that you can visit. I believe it's cctv.org. And the election is about a year or so from now, so we got plenty of time to go through before we're going to be having, I believe, the public forums and the Q&As and the debates. And I know Town Meeting TV does host that as well, so there's plenty to come. And certainly if you see this on YouTube, stay tuned, and certainly reach out to Town Meeting TV to watch a lot of their amazing programs, including this one. And you will certainly see Scott Lowe in your neighborhood, I'm sure. Of course, this is not an endorsement show, but rather just to learn more about Scott and what he's offering our city as a fellow resident, a Ward 5 resident, who's basically my neighbor ward, more or less, because the ward, districts tend to keep moving around. I don't know why. That's that day for a different story. But long story short, I'm grateful that you joined us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.